Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to today's video. My name is, you probably already know if you're watching this, D'Andrea Pelletier, the Queen of Opera. And today I bring you a book review. This is something I've never done before, but I'm really excited to do it and share with you guys a book that I just read. I just completed a 10-day album challenge. And there comes a point where instead of being the transmuter of the energy, you need to take a step back, get into a 0 point place, and become the receiver away from the computer and just take 3 days to read the book that you see behind me. So I'm going to show you guys the book now. I'm going to show you my personalized copy, which I thought was really cool. This is Poetic Spoken Tales, The Infinite Mind of Lio'lf. See it here. I'm gonna go in front of the microphone there. This is the description that is on Amazon of the book. The poetic short stories, poems, and quotes written within this masterpiece are creations formed with in-depth conversation, carried with the thoughts of my conscious imagination and vision. While pairing my emotions in ink and using every word to describe what I have seen, dreamed, experienced, or theoretically speculated through written logic. The pages between this cover represent many depictions of narratives and a temporary look into my mind unboxed. I constructed this masterpiece to give readers a different side of poetry, and boy did it. Spoken word and short stories mixed to give a mental cinema while seeing and embracing each printed line. I want to display to you the way I see suspense, passion, anger, determination, and romance with many more powerful emotions. This book will put the reader into a trance of a good movie or a situation handled with great value. Take a subtle walk through the infinite mind of Lio'lf. Sincerely, Carlos, the poet, B.GKL, Kaigler. So there's his own description and his own words of what this is all about. I was totally blown away from the very first story. And like I said, I didn't know what to expect, so it was really cool to read this. I'm going to show you this again. From the very beginning, where you think the story is going to go in a certain way, where a woman is being seduced by someone, taking her away from her man, taking her away from her partner, what ends up actually happening is it's her power that's able to overcome the entire situation when her husband, we're assuming here this is her partner in some way, they're together. They are romantically linked. But when he couldn't save her from the fate that she was about to undergo and he was about to undergo, she actually comes out and she becomes the hero in a way that I didn't really expect. And so that was really, from the beginning, that was just cool. And so I got to see a different side of the author as well, to see this is how he reveres women. This is how he reveres human beings, really, in the entire book, you can tell. But really, when it comes to women, how he sees them, and it's refreshing. It really is. I could talk about this book all day long, especially because there are so many different stories, collection of quotes and poems. And so I just wanted to read to you guys my favorite quotes and parts of poems and short stories. And hopefully it will entice you to read it as well, because I can tell you with me, I couldn't put it down. Love it. All right, here we go. These are notes and quotes that I like. On page 44, if it can't get out, it will burn right through my imagination. So I needed to find some source of thrill. So when you have a high sex drive or high energy, which essentially is the same thing, again, this is my personal opinion, it is the same thing. You have to find somewhere to put it, some outlet, and to transmute for your imagination to run rampant. So I really loved that. It reminded me a lot of transmuting energy and how important it is. That was from The Serenader's Lounge, and it was a very, very descriptive, what I would consider, that was a poem. Page 63. The next one that really inspired me was on page 63. I am the leaves that fall where there are no trees at all. Third favorite quote on page 74. If you were a drug, I would take you, sniff you, break you, and love you. So I think that's pretty self-explanatory. It's an extremely intense one, and I love it. All right, on page 73, you don't think I know how you feel? I knew before I came that you tried to conjure me. So on a very personal level, I think that is that's incredible, because this is describing from my perspective, it's describing that intense chemical attraction you feel for someone, where it gets to the point where where your chemistry is so aligned that it almost becomes, or does become, a very telepathic communication that you have with someone without even having to talk at all. Oh, and that was from Body to Mind, Give Her the Glamour. I really liked that poem. That was a good one. On page 92, this quote, "The power of the mind is to manifest loyalty to your word, in which it is bound by your actions." Wonderful quote. Wonderful. And as a matter of fact, you guys are probably going to see that somewhere on my socials, because it was so good. It really stuck out to me. And that was a quote underneath the title, Common Sense. On page 135, "No trap can contain you when your eyes are closed but open to the mission." And that's a quote from Mental Cage. I'm telling you, it's like taking a deep dive into my mind of things that I've already thought myself, but he says it so well. I think one of the best things that I love about this book is there are so many of these things, and everything from a short story about being on a quick 20-minute break, falling asleep, and ending up in the car with your deceased dad, and you're going for a ride, and you're not really talking, and this is one of the stories that was in the book, but everything from this very small, short, quick, brief moment in someone's life, but being described the way that Brotha B.GKL describes it, it is just so relatable to what a lot of people experience, but the way that it's described, it really draws you into that human experience in a very poetic way. I really loved reading this. I mean, there are so many, like I said, so many little pieces that I could take out and tell you that I love, but you really have to read it for yourself. I think this really gives you a good example of what the book is all about and how descriptive it is. And honestly, to read this and not be so invested in one long, drawn-out story, especially after the week that I had prior, where I really needed to just kind of unload my mind and think about anything besides my own life. Not that things haven't been going fantastically, because they're going really, really well, but to just dive into something that wasn't me. Being a creator, sometimes you have so much of this is happening in my life, my creations, my world, yada, 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 which is, that's what it's about, especially if you're promoting for yourself all the time. But sometimes it's good to just be an observer. This is one of the best books to just dive right into and just be swept away from quote to poem to story. There wasn't anything that was just heavy to the point where you don't know how far it's going to go. It was all perfectly timed. The words are perfectly said, everything, and I loved it. I really did enjoy reading this book. So thank you to, again, the poet, Brotha B.GKL, Carlos Kaigler, for this amazing gift. Words can't describe how much I appreciate that you sent it to me, that you entrusted me with my review. It is a big honor to be able to talk about it and tell your audience, my audience, and everyone else out there how awesome this book is. Thank you to Carlos, the poet, Brotha B.GKL Kaigler. You can actually get this book on Amazon. I will put a link in the description so you can see it yourself. And I look forward to hopefully reading more of the manuscripts that the author has. So thanks, guys, and I will talk to you soon.